You've looked at it 1,000 times. Software silver, distant, hanging above the world like a silent observer. You've read the stories, the tides, the cycles, the full moon madness. But here's what no one told you. The moon isn't what you think, and it never was. To the ancients, it wasn't just a light in the sky. It was a portal, a presence, an interface between worlds. The Dogon tribe of Mali claimed the moon was brought here. The Zulu said it was hollow. The Sumerians called it sin, not as punishment, but as the lord of time and manipulation. It was never just a rock. It was a mechanism. Every major civilization encoded their teachings around the moon, not because of its beauty, but because of its power. It influenced blood, fertility, growth, and madness. The moon was seen as a mirror, not reflecting just light, but energy. To look at the moon was to look at your own subconscious, your hidden patterns, your ancient memory, and more than that, the ancients believed the moon could be used as a channel, a transmitter, a watcher, not metaphorically, literally. And if that's true, then what exactly is watching you back? Civilizations across time didn't just observe the moon, they recorded what they felt about it, and over again, their message was the same. The moon didn't belong here. Let's start with the Sumerians. Their cuneiform tablets, some of the oldest texts on Earth, describe the moon arriving after humanity. It came with the gods. It wasn't part of the natural sky. It was inserted, like a lens. The Zulu of South Africa say two brothers, beings not of this earth, rolled the moon into place. Before that, they said, Earth had no seasons, no axis, no cycles. What changed when the moon arrived? Everything. Blood cycles began syncing with lunar phases. Crops responded. Emotions shifted. The sleep-wake rhythm of every creature bent toward the moonlight. It didn't just orbit, it tuned life. That's what makes it suspect. Because anything that tunes life can also manipulate it. The Mayans were obsessed with the moon's shadow, not its light. They tracked its eclipses like omens. They said the moon held a secret code, one that governed the rise and fall of empires. Even Aristotle, yes, the philosopher, said that the moon had the power to stir madness in man. The root word of lunatic, it comes from luna. And perhaps the strangest clue of all, there are no impact craters deep enough on the moon to match the size of the objects that supposedly hit it, because underneath the surface, it's not rock, it's something else. When Apollo 12 landed and released its payload, NASA recorded seismic echoes. The moon rang like a bell. A solid rock doesn't do that. So ask yourself, if this body in the sky controls your sleep, your hormones, your dreams, your oceans, and your energy, but was placed here with intention, then who placed it and why? Let's go deeper. If the moon was placed here, not just to illuminate the night, but to influence human behavior, then we have to ask, what else is it doing? Think about how your energy shifts during a full moon. Restlessness, vivid dreams, emotional spikes. Hospitals report more psych cases. Police see more chaos. It's not coincidence. It's tuning. But tuning to what? Many mystics believe the moon acts like a psychic mirror, pulling thoughts, fears, memories to the surface, amplifying what you've hidden. But what if it's more than that? What if it's collecting those signals? We know that lunar cycles influence brain waves, sleep patterns, hormonal releases. What if the moon isn't just reflecting those rhythms, but recording them? Some esoteric systems say the moon is like a soul gate, a filter that every soul must pass through after death. It stores imprints, memories, fragments of experience. It catalogs humanity. And what if that's why ancient initiations involved moonlight? Because initiates had to face their own mind and escape the loop. The moon isn't just a teacher, it's a test. And if you've ever felt haunted by patterns you can't trace, repeating behaviors, recurring dreams, ancestral echoes, it may not be just your DNA. It might be a resonance loop tied to lunar memory. So what can you do? Start by becoming conscious of the moon's effect on you. Track your thoughts during each phase. Notice the patterns. Dream more. Write more. Stay present. Because awareness breaks the spell. If you're finding truth in this, hit subscribe and ring the bell. There's more coming that they never wanted you to know. Because once you remember how the moon watches you, you can learn how to watch back. So what now? You can't just ignore the moon. You're made of water, and the moon pulls tides. It will affect you. But what if you affect it back? The ancients didn't just fear the moon, they worked with it. They used specific lunar phases for magic, manifestation, and inner work. Why? Because each phase is a frequency portal. New moon, void, clean slate. Time to plant intentions into the dark. Waxing, growth. Build momentum, energy, focus. Full moon, illumination, reflection, harvest, truth. Waning, release, shedding, integration. These weren't poetic metaphors, they were bio-spiritual technologies. Calendars for the soul. By syncing your internal world with the moon's rhythm, you begin to align not as a puppet, but as a co-creator. And here's where it gets powerful. When you consciously observe the moon, you collapse the passive trance. You tell your unconscious, I am aware. That changes the loop. You stop reacting. You start choosing. And when you intentionally use moonlight for journaling, ritual, or silence, you reclaim your data, your frequency, your field. So instead of the moon harvesting you, you begin to harvest yourself. And in that moment, the moon becomes what it was always meant to be, not your master, not your watcher, but your mirror. Let's talk dreams. You close your eyes, you leave your body, you enter a landscape of symbols, emotions, and fragments of timelines. Where do they come from? You're told it's just your brain, a side effect, a shuffle of memory. But deep initiates across history believed something else, that during sleep, you connect to a field, and that field is regulated, or at least modulated, by the moon. Ever wonder why full moons give you restless nights? Why you wake up at strange hours? Why your dreams get louder, weirder, more vivid? Because something's broadcasting. The moon, according to some ancient orders, is a relay station. It doesn't just reflect sunlight, it reflects frequency. Emotional, mental, energetic. In Gnostic writings, the moon was part of the archonic system, a psychic web of influence filtering divine awareness, a middle layer between the infinite and the finite. In Hermetic thought, the moon governs the astral body, the sheath between soul and form. Meaning, during sleep, your consciousness passes through it. It doesn't just dream, it uploads and downloads. Now think about modern science. We know lunar rhythms affect melatonin, your sleep hormone. We know it affects serotonin, your mood. So what happens when a planetary object affects both your chemistry and your non-physical states? You're being tuned, biologically and energetically. The dream state becomes a shared interface. You may be picking up fragments of ancestral memory, collective unconscious symbols, even past life bleed-throughs, and it all filters through the lunar gateway. So what do? Start treating your dreams not as fiction, but as intel. Track your dreams through lunar cycles. Note what archetypes arise, what symbols repeat, which emotions spike. Because somewhere inside those symbols is the code to break the loop. And maybe that's what they never wanted you to realize, that the moon doesn't just affect your sleep. It listens to your soul in silence, and if decoded, it can reveal the forgotten architecture of your reality. It's not enough to know the moon affects you. You have to do something with that awareness, because passive knowing is still control. Active alignment is sovereignty. So let's talk about how to reclaim your relationship with the moon, not as a subject, but as a conscious architect. First, ritual. You don't need robes or candles or chants in ancient tongues. You need attention plus intention. Each lunar phase holds a different key, a different doorway. When you pair your inner world with the moon's frequency window, you begin shifting your vibration, not just your schedule. Here's how. New moon, the cosmic void, total darkness, the womb of pure potential. Sit in silence, don't ask, don't force, listen. Journal what you feel, not what you want. You're not setting goals, you're opening a channel. First quarter, seeds stir, ideas form, resistance appears. Now is the time to observe your limiting programs. What blocks rise up? What inner voices tell you not yet? Expose them, don't fight them, just name them. Full moon, the mirror is brightest. You'll see your shadows and your genius. Take a salt bath. Burn an old belief on paper. Look yourself in the eye and speak what you've never admitted. The moon will echo it back. This is release. Truth becomes your weapon. Last quarter, integration, gratitude, quiet power. Don't build, don't launch, breathe. Walk under moonlight. Let memory surface, not just from your life, but from your lineage. Your ancestors speak more clearly when the moon fades. Second, moon tracking. Build a personal moon map. Every day, log your energy, emotions, and dreams. Track it for 3 cycles. Patterns will emerge. Your body remembers, even when your mind forgets. Third, symbolic coding. Draw your own lunar sigil, a symbol that represents your moon connection, not the one they printed in almanacs, the one that speaks from your field. Meditate on it during each phase. Speak to it, charge it, let it become your psychic firewall. Fourth, dream bridging. On full moons, keep water next to your bed. Charge it under moonlight. Drink it as soon as you wake. Then journal your dream in 1 sentence. Over time, those one-liners will build a mythology, one only you can decode. Because here's the truth. You were never meant to fear the moon. You were meant to work with it. As a celestial co-creator, it was never the enemy. Only the illusion was. Here's the piece they don't want you to see. For thousands of years, the moon was honored as sacred, as the cosmic mother, the mirror of mystery, the symbol of divine feminine intelligence. But then, something shifted. Suddenly the moon became a symbol of madness, witches, deceit, darkness. Religions told you to fear it, ignore it, or reject it altogether. Why? Because the moon is the embodiment of the feminine principle, the cyclic, the intuitive, the emotional, the unseen. And that principle was dangerous to systems built on control. You see, the sun represents clarity, structure, visibility, all things that can be counted. But the moon? She moves in shadows. She speaks in symbols. She honors what can't be measured but is deeply felt. And in a world obsessed with logic, productivity, and control, that kind of power is a threat. So they labeled it irrational. They demonized lunar magic. They burned those who used it, and they replaced lunar calendars with solar ones, cutting people off from their natural rhythm. But here's the deeper danger. When the feminine is exiled, your soul loses its compass. You stop listening to intuition. You start mistrusting emotion. You numb your dreams. You disconnect from your body. And that's when you're most vulnerable to control, because a being who doesn't know their inner tides can be swept away by external currents. The moon doesn't just represent cycles. She teaches you how to move with them. She reminds you that nothing stays. No fear, no wound, no illusion. Everything rises, peaks, fades, and transforms. This is why the moon was silenced, not because she lies, but because she reveals. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you're here now, reading this, is because some part of you is remembering that the darkness isn't something to run from. It's where your power is reborn. The moon has no light of her own. She only reflects. But what she reflects is up to you. You can let her echo your fear, your confusion, your programming. Or you can choose to let her mirror your truth, your rhythm, your becoming. Because here's what they never told you. The moon has been with you in every life. She's watched you be born, fall in love, break apart, rebuild. She's seen the prayers you whispered into pillows, the tears you didn't let fall, the dreams you gave up on. She remembers the parts of you that you forgot. And every night she asks the same silent question. Are you ready to remember? Remember that healing isn't linear. That magic doesn't live in words. It lives in rhythm. That intuition isn't weakness, it's ancient tech. That the darkness isn't the end, it's the womb. And if you are ready, not just to know but to feel, then the moon will begin to speak. Not in language, but in pull, in dreams, in symbols, in a whisper that says, come back to yourself. So here's my question for you. What's one recurring dream, symbol, or emotion that follows you through every lunar cycle? And what do you think it's trying to tell you? Drop it in the comments. Let others see that they're not alone in what they feel, sense, and dream. Let's rebuild the forgotten map together, because the moon doesn't demand belief. She invites attention. And when you give it, you'll find that she's not just a rock in the sky. She's the mirror of the soul you've been avoiding, but now you're ready to look.